Hey everyone, have I here bring a video on Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle. In this video, we'll be doing our full breakdown and some fun little team builds for the LR Dokkan Festival exclusive Goku and Vegeta Blue that fuses into Vegito Blue. So with that, if you're new to my channel, like, subscribe, comment below, do all that good stuff. Let's go ahead and dive right in. And as usual, we will start with the card art. I do like the card art. I don't love the card art when it comes to the SSR and TUR. The SSR feels a little flat to me, but the TUR does make it up a little bit with that action pose there. It looks really good. I absolutely like the Vegeta, his action pose there, but again, the SSR is just, it just doesn't do as much as other SSR card arts, but it's fine. It feels like they're separated a little bit too far out. I don't know. That's just me. Now, when it comes to the LR card art, on the other hand, it is spectacular, especially when it's animated. But the non-fused Goku and Vegeta looks great, with Vegito Blue in the background, and then Vegito Blue. This Vegito Blue just looks absolutely incredible. One of the best card arts in the game, if not the best animated card art in the game, and just standalone still there, it's definitely one of my favorites. So card art, LR, I would say A+, and then the SSR TUR kind of B- around there. And now we're moving on to the stats and going over the full breakdown here. Let's look at the unit in of itself and look at the stats. HP, attack, and defense. 19,163 for HP. Attack, seemingly a little low for me at 20,700. I would think this would have been in the 21 or 22,000 range, but they did make it up when it comes to defense, over 16,000 defense. So that's very, very strong there. Now, making this a little bit more, so you can zoom in here. Let's go ahead and take a look at the rest of the unit here. And I will say the leader skill is really what makes this unit incredibly valuable. It has this little extra benefit of having this newly acquired additional leader skill, which we've never seen before in a 200% category. And that is a class boost of 150%, meaning that you can run any super class unit and you'll get a 150% boost, and that makes this team build a lot more difficult. But I'm not going to focus too much on like putting just random super class units on there. Generally, it's really beneficial to use support units that are not on these categories here, like a LR Bulma, which I think everybody's running LR Bulma on this team here, but we'll talk about teams a little bit later. So let's dive in. Battle of Fate, Future Saga, Power Beyond Super Saiyan at 170% boost. Then you have the 30% additional to Realm of Gods and Time Travelers, and having a triple double. I hope we're going to see more of this in the future, especially with Dokkan Festival exclusive LR. So the super attack and the ultra super attack, 12 key and 18 key, a lot of people said, hey, we should have flipped this, and I could have agree with that because you're getting a lot more 12 key super attacks off of the kit here, and getting more defense, of course, is kind of a weak spot for this unit, especially not transformed after its entrance animation, which we will talk about in 1 second here. So the 12 key super attack raises attack and causes cost damage, and that's going to stack at 30%. And remember, if it was attack and defense, it would only be 20%. So 30% boost, of course, a lot stronger. The 18 key, you do get a stackable raises defense, which is also 30% and causes mega cost damage to the enemy. I wouldn't have mind to see like raises attack and defense on the 12 key, even though it's only going to drop. It's going to drop down to 20%. You'll get that additional defensive boost, which again would be very, very beneficial. Now, passive skill here. This and the fusion is where I got kind of confused when I initially saw it. I thought the conditions was really solid, and this unit would have been absolutely incredible, especially at the transformation portion. But let's look at the active skill here. It does raise defense and guard all attacks. This is like what you want to see for interest animations. But only for 4 turns. This was where I'm going, 4 turns is interesting. Would have liked to see 5 or even 6 from the start of the turn when there's another Future Saga category ally on the same team at the start of the character's attacking turn. So you do have to make sure there is one Future Saga category ally so that you do get this interest animation boost. You try not to make a team with these units and you don't have a Future Saga on there, unless this is just going to be a straight up floater on a totally different team and it doesn't really matter. But just make sure if you can add that Future Saga category unit on there. So these pluses here just gives me an opportunity to read this a little bit better, a little bit easier. So it does provide you Ki +3, attack and defense 100%, which for me was very surprising how low this was initially, right? We've been seeing 150, even like 170 right off the bat, but I'm just wondering why they end up doing this here. Plus an additional Ki +2 per Ki sphere obtained, which is really strong to get to that 18 super attack. Then you have attack and defense 50% and attacks effective against all types when there's a Realm of Gods category enemy. Now this is almost a throwaway, because if you're not up against a Realm of Gods category, which you will, I'm assuming, during this up and coming red zone, right? You know, Murzumasu, etc., etc. Right now, Rose's on it, so you do have a lot of benefit when you're using this during the celebration. But you know, ultimately, we don't have too many Realm of Gods category enemies at this point in time, so you might not have all this benefit here. Then you get additional 150% and high chance of evading enemies' attack, including super attack, when there is one attacker on the turn. So that's, you know, highly, I think, beneficial if you're using this as a first position unit and you're trying to, you know, tank those initial you know, hard hits from all these crazy strong red zone characters, and even you know, other fights that you might have. So very beneficial, having that high chance of 50% only. You know, it's not a great chance, but we'll take the high chance of 50% there. Now, if you're second or third attack at a turn, it does changes a bit. Defensively, you do weaken by 100% defense, which is a lot. And then you do get an increase of 100% to attack, which is a lot different from the SA multiplier, because this is a part of the passive. Then you do also launch an additional attack that has a high chance of becoming a super attack. And this is where you kind of go, okay, if this had defense up over here on the 12 Ki, you might want to place this unit in a second or third position, and that would still increase some defense down the road and stack up a little bit. But they ended up not doing that. Now you do, if you can get 20 Ki or more, you will have a guaranteed additional super attack, so that is very strong there. So I think really here is where it was lacking. I rather would have liked to see 150% here to attack and defense as a standard, and then add a little bit more for Realm of Gods category. Maybe just drop it down to 25% or 20%, or just leave it at attack effective against all types against Realm of Gods category enemy, and just add that additional 50% right here. I think would have dramatically change the unit as effectiveness before transformation or fusion here. Now here's the fusion issue. Performs Patara fusion can be activated when 70% or less starting from the 5th turn, so you can get this right here. Or when there's another Future Saga category ally attacking the same turn. This is when I got confused, because then there was an or here. I was like, oh, that's easy enough to do. You can transform immediately, but then we might want to stack a little bit before we want to transform for Vegeta Blue. And I think that mechanic would have worked fine. But they said, or a Future Saga category enemy starting from the 7th turn. Ugh. So bad. So this was the issue here, and this with the 4 turns on the entrance animation and the 5th turn here at 70%, this becomes problematic, right? The fusion of these two skills really doesn't you know, kind of go hand in hand. And I think a lot of people have solved that problem with the base non-transformed fused Goku and Vegeta here. So again, has some flaws here, but overall still a very good unit. They could have just did this extra 50% here, would have been totally hugely beneficial for the base form unit. But again, we're not really looking too much on the base form. We want to make sure when we transform and fuse, that's when it becomes an absolute god. Link skills, Super Saiyan Warrior Gods, Godly Power, Prepare for Battle, Kamehameha, Fierce Battle, Legendary Power. You are going to change Godly Power, Prepare for Battle, Kamehameha, unfortunately, which I don't like. It's been a while since they had Dokkan Festival exclusive LRs, and then you actually change Link skills. I hate changing Link skills. They should just add them on there. That'd be much better. Another strong feature on this unit here is a ton of categories, right? Realm of Gods, Patara, Pure Saiyans, Future Saga, Time Travelers, Join Forces, Kamehameha, Final Trump Card, Battle Wits, Time Limit, Mastered Evolution, Accelerated Battle, Battle of Fate, Power Beyond Super Saiyan, Fuse Fighters, Bond Parent Child, and Superheroes. So ultimately, this is the initial breakdown for the non-transformed or non-fused. Now we look at Vegeta Blue, and it's it's just a monster, right? The super attack and ultra super attack greatly raises attack and defense for 1 turn, and then greatly raises attack and defense for 1 turn on the 18 key. But then you can also raise your super class allies defense by 50% for 1 turn, while the super attack on the 12 key lowers attack and defense, which isn't all that beneficial later in the game because most enemies you're not able to debuff. So I'm not sure why they ended up putting that there. I would have liked to actually see it. That actually would have been even more beneficial if I would have seen it on the base form, the blue forms, the Goku and Vegeta, versus the transformation state. Now, the passive skill here, very, very solid passive skill. Key +5, attack defense 250%, plus an additional key +2 for keys obtained. Attacks effective against all types. That's straight up. See how they should have just did that with the Realm of Gods enemy instead of the additional 50 to attack and defense. I don't know, again, not sure why. Here's where this unit does then shine. Reduces damage received by 30% before attacking, and then straight up reduces damage received by 20%. You know, second or third turn, etc., right? Or second or third position, or after you super attack. So a little bit light on there, but you do get the greatly raises attack and defense when you do an 18 or the 12 key super attack. High chance of evading enemy's attack, and launches an additional attack, has a high chance of becoming a super attack in the first attack or turn. So that stays the same there. And then launches an additional super attack and medium chance of launching another super attack in the second or third attack turn. So that's hugely beneficial there in the second or third, because you're guaranteeing another super attack. And then launches an additional super attack when activating active skill when key is 20 or more. That right there didn't change from the base form there. So I think that kit's very, very strong. Active skill. This active skill is amazing. Causes ultimate damage to enemy, and within the turn activated, evades enemy's attack regardless. Just 100%. That's pretty awesome. And then can be activated when 50% or less, or when facing one enemy whose 50% is HP is 50% or less. So here's the link skill changes, which again, not a huge fan of. Power bestowed by God and Overflash and Fused Fighter gets replaced versus your Godly Power, Prepare for Battle, and Kamehameha. Prepare for Battle is just more useful, right? And then Fused Fighter. Anyway, again, I wish they would just add additional link skills, which would be huge, very broken, instead of replacing, which I'm not a huge fan of. So it's harder to build teams, right? Now, when you're looking at link skills, so that's the breakdown there. So now let's go ahead and move on to the link skills. And this is your best linking partner because it's going to have 7 links here. Now, when you do transform, you do have a couple different options at 6 link levels, and that's Gogeta Blue, Vegeta Blue, and then Vegeta Blue, the tech one. Again, that change of links not as beneficial, because it would have been nice to still have it when the gods, LR gods, transform as well, but I think it's only have 5 links after transformation. Now, looking at the 200% characters, now before we dive into the team builds here, the 200% characters, there's quite a bit. As you can see, the leader skill is very, very, very good at 200%, and then you even have more so with like Battle of Fate, Future Saga, a lot of units on those categories there. Power Beyond Super Saiyan, again, just the leader skill is incredible, and then the super class you can just run just ridiculous amounts of other options. But yeah, these are your options here. Now, when we do these team builds, we are going to assume a couple of things. We're going to assume, because these are already confirmed, that Trunks, Zamasu, Mai, and Gowasu and Zamasu are Easy Aid. We're going to assume that the Int one is going to Easy A. It has to, guys, right? It has to Easy A. It's not confirmed right now, but it has to. That is such an old card, and that's what we're looking forward to. So it is going to be part 1. These team builds are part 1 team builds. I might make an update on the team builds like after, but you probably check that out in the best teams videos when those come out. So anyway, so that's the assumption, right? That's the assumptions. And we're also assuming that these units are going to be good. That too, right? We're assuming that these units are going to be good, because I'm going to put these on like floaters, but not generally on the main rotations though. So let's go ahead and start off with the 200% teams that you can run. So we're going to start off with 200% super. So the best linking options I think you'll have is making sure that the LR Vegeta Blue is in first position to get the defensive boost, and then running the Gods and then Godku in of itself as the main rotation. Then you can float EZA Vegito Blue, and then we're assuming Transformation Trunks is going to be good, right? We're assuming that, so we'll put that unit as an option down there, and then we're going to be using Mai for now. We hope that Gowasu Zamasu's EZA is going to be very good, or Mai's very good when it comes to the ability to go ahead and support. But you can see you do have a lot of different options in the 200% super class for 200% for this team. So a huge strong bench strength on there. Now here's the interesting thing is, if you're playing this team correctly, you do have to switch out things once transformation happens, because those link skills do change. And one of the things that you do want to do is you want to flip Vegito Blue into the main rotation, and then move Godku, whether you're using the EZA int one or the physical Godku, and you're going to switch that out as a floater. And also, I'm guessing Trunks is already transformed into a certain period of time as well. So again, this is a little bit more active. It's not like just autoplay with this unit here, and that's unfortunate. But still, again, just got to know what's going on with your team, especially if you can do the transformations. But once you transform, these rotations here are going to be incredibly dominant and strong. And then lastly, there is an option that you can do that is going to kind of weaken defensively on one rotation of the LR Vegito Blue, and that's using LRGG as a main slot on one of the main rotations. That is doable, right? Especially if you're doing a long event and you're stacking, and then when you transform, you're going to be fine, because it's going to link still fairly well with Vegito Blue and rotation there, or having the support on there. So again, very beneficial overall, as having LRGG as a 200% option to run as the first slot there. But again, you're going to weaken defensively on the LR Vegito Blue. So now the other option, of course, is to run an extreme 200% team. Now you have a lot of extreme options on this team here, and of course using the Infinite Zamasu, Merge Zamasu. Again, we're assuming this is going to be our main rotation on the extreme team, the AGL Zamasu and Int Goku Black, assuming that they EZA very well. The reason why, unfortunately, you have this Merge Zamasu kind of staying down here is you could run them on a different rotation, like right here with some of these other units, but you can't run it side by side with the other Infinite Zamasu because they're the same name, unfortunately. Not too sure why they end up doing that. But the Extreme Team, of course, isn't as robust or exciting as the Super Team, and of course that should be the case, being a super class leader in of itself. But again, you do have all these options, and if you do want to combine the two, this is some rotations that you can run. You can keep the Infinite Zamasu and LR Zamasu in the same rotation as a main rotation, and then you're going to float off one of the Vegito Blues. And again, not ideal, but still is a possibility to go ahead and do that. Now, support unit, you're going to run Gowasu and Zamasu instead, because it is for all types. And again, we're hoping the EZA is actually good on there. So over here, you're running Mai, but you could run Gowasu Zamasu there as well. Now, I would say one of the best ways you can run this team here is using that ability for that 150%. And having triple support on this could be very good, and unfortunately all the supports down here below, as you can see here, are running at 150%. Now Gowasu Zamasu is going to be at 200%, Mai is going to be at 200%, so those support units you can run here, and they'll be fine at 200%. But even at 150, I think all three of these could manage, right? Gamma 1 gets stronger and stronger as the fight goes by. Bulma's ridiculous, best support unit in the game. A lot of people say the best unit in the game. I think her leader skill drops her off of the best unit. She was 200% lead, then yes, you'll be the best unit in the game. But then you have Yajirobe, who supports, and then also his ability to dodge as well. Even at 150, that's not going to be a problem. Now, here's the interesting thing. You can run triple support. You can run double support. You can run a bunch of other alts on, besides like Gamma 1. You can just take him off and you can run other units. But then you have like Chile, it's an interesting option to run Chile on this team. Because if you're going to run the long game, like 7 turns, and have a Future Saga character on the slot, which we had to put Vegito, OG Vegito Blue on here, because if you didn't have that unit, if I had Goku instead, you wouldn't have another Future Saga category, right? So, but for example, you have Chile on here as another support. You're going to have the ability to foresee super attacks when you are on the turn, and that's going to give some level of additional benefit there. So interesting way to use Chile as a support unit on this team as well. And then Pan can double support sometimes on certain units. I think she's very good. And then of course STR Piccolo is ridiculous as a support unit, but again, those are only running at 150%. And then you have like LROP can be run on this team. The new Super Saiyan 4 Goku, right? You can run Spirit Bomb GT, Goku and Vegeta. So it's just, yeah. the amount of different things you can run is quite crazy, but even running at a triple support would be very, very, very fun to run. Now, other teams you can dive into would be like maybe ROG, right? So Realm of Gods is a fun team. You are having Infinite Zamasu as a floater, unfortunately. This team here, which is interestingly enough, is all Realm of Gods. It can basically be a full dodge team if you just changed one character, or actually 2 characters, because we brought the Gogeta Blue on here and then the UI Goku on here, and I call this the ADAA approved team because everybody dodges on this team. So, and then you have some other dodge options you can run as well. And again, if you like the chance of dodging, then hey, this could be an option that you're gonna run. So the next one here is all right, so let's go Future Team. So Future Saga, of course, it's going to be very similar to everything else, but you do have those options here of again running a Infinite Zamasu Rosemasu combination, which is a very fun combination, and then Vegito Blue combination there. So again, very similar here. The options you can run, but Future Saga, again, very, very strong. And then you have this team here, which is a little goofy, but it is a Battle of Fate team. You can see how strong an options you have, because you have 3 units here that are running at 170%, right? They're not 200%, but it's both 8-year anniversary units. It's LR OG, OP, right? LR Orange Piccolo, and just a ton of other options. Infinite Zamasu, Golden Frieza, World Tournament Piccolo, World Tournament Goku, LRGG, like all the. It seems like it's been the year of Battle of the Fate, right? Because there's a lot of options. Yes, you're floating Vegito Blue here, but I just wanted to make a point that all these units you can run on one team. And then finally, the goofiest one that I have on this list here is the Super Dragon Ball Heroes one. Now, you do have to put in a Future Saga unit so that Vegito Blue can run efficiently. If you don't want to do that and you just want to run a bunch of superheroes on here, this team is at 200%. So, and the units that you see down there are also running at 200%. So it's pretty wild that you can run a Super Dragon Ball Heroes team with this unit at 200%. But again, it's not very efficient if you don't have another Future Saga category. And anyway, you're also running as a floater as well. So I guess not a huge issue. So yeah. Kind of weird team, but I think it's really fun. But also, Battle of Fate's kind of wild as well. But anyway, tell me what you guys think about the teams. This support team is incredible, and then you can just float a support off, or even 2 support offs, and add some amazing alternates on here, and just crush it. So, I think this is one of the best teams. We'll see if it ends up being the best team. We'll take and examine that during the best teams rankings. But hopefully, again, it's a longer video here. If you're new to my channel, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Thank you all for watching. Keep on Dokkaning. We'll catch you next time. Later.